हरि ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः श्री सरस्वती नमः ओम नमो गुरुभ्यः श्री मेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामी नमः। स्वामी दयानंद सरस्वती इतीन्द्राय नमः। श्री स्वामी प्रत्यग बोधानंद इतीन्द्राय नमो नमः। We are here to remember our Swami Pratik Bodhanji as a part of this Bhagavad Gita session, and also to start reconvening for these Gita sessions. These Gita sessions were started with the blessings of our Pujya Swami Pratik Bodhanji Maharaj. He was with us during all these sessions. It might look like I have been giving all the classes, but Swamiji, every class, he sits in front of me to encourage me to be able to give this online classes. It was his desire, it was Swamiji's enthusiasm, and Swamiji's making himself available for these sessions that encouraged the interests of the Hindu Temple of Allentown committee. So, how can we not think of our Swamiji, remember our Swamiji, especially when we are reconvening for our Gita? The reconvening itself is because we believe that we have Swami Pratik Bodhanji's blessings. It was a big shock, it is still a shock that our Swamiji left his Parthiva Sharira. I felt this is not what my Swamiji would do. It was very emotional, and that love and care which used to be around me, that care, that love which you all might have experienced in some form in terms of some caring words, some witty conversation, some thoughtful expressions. We are bereft of those forever in the physical form. This void is irreplaceable. I was with Swamiji when he was leaving his body. It was not expected. He was very calm. He complained of some breathlessness. We had the doctors who were all on the campus because it was the anniversary. Few of them came right away. Whoever was there came right away. The ambulance was called as quickly as possible. But Swamiji was, I would not say struggling. He was trying to breathe, but he was unable to with the difficulties. And when people chanted Vishnu Sahasranama, and when they chanted Sri Ram Jai Ram, Swamiji joined and said Sri Ram Jai Ram twice, and he left his body. So that air of love, just like we have air around us, that air of love around us is gone for now. And I was thinking that which part of my life is a dream? Is that life which I was enjoying with Swamiji, was that the dream life? Or that Swamiji has left us, is this a dream? So that much I was not able to reconcile with what was happening. I'm sharing all these feelings because many of you are in the same boat, and you all have to, have the same, you have the same thoughts to share with me. So it is like, as I mentioned somewhere else, when Uddhava, left Bhagavan Sri Krishna because to meet the gopis, he had to meet them and maybe convey the news that Bhagavan is not there with him. Bhagavan has left, and Uddhava's only solace was, to go to the devotees, to the gopis. Likewise, I am here with the devotees of Swami Pratik Bodhanji, sharing my feelings. When Arjuna left Bhagavan Sri Krishna, Arjuna left Dwaraka after Krishna dropped his mortal frames, after Bhagavan Sri Krishna gave his body. Arjuna was strengthless. He got robbed on the way back to Indraprastha or Hastinapura. That much strength, that much strengthless, that much weak Arjuna became. And likewise, we all have become weak. We all have the impact of the loss of Swamiji's physical form with us. But I am also here, I am also bound by the Shastra, bound by Swamiji's own words regarding what happens when a Mahatma leaves. When a Mahatma leaves, he does not really leave. His physical body is gone. The physical body becomes leena, becomes one with the physical elements. The earth goes back to earth. The air goes back. The prana goes back to the samashti vayu. The agni of the body, the ushnata of the body merges with the samashti. The water element in the body also becomes one with the prakriti. And for the Mahatma, the Sukshma Sharira also becomes leena, becomes one here and now. The Sukshma Sharira, unlike an Ajnani, for a Mahatma, does not travel. What does this mean for us? This means for us, Swami Pratik Bodhanji Maharaj is still here with us. How? Swami Pratik Bodhanji Maharaj Sukshma Sharira, because he is a Mahatma, the Sukshma Sharira has not traveled. Only a Sukshma Sharira with desires, only a Sukshma Sharira with Papa and Punya travels. A Sukshma Sharira which was here, which was always helping others, which was always Sukshma Sharira enriched with the knowledge of Shastra, does not travel. It doesn't have any desire to travel. Bhagavan does not respect those Sukshma Sharira. There is no aham there in the Sukshma Sharira to say that aham asmi and aham gacchami and all that. Aham gamanartham ichcha karishyati, all that. That desire is not there. So that Sukshma Sharira, the Stula Sharira has to go back to Stula. The Sukshma Sharira of a Mahatma has to become Leena. Here means it has to become Leena. It has to go back to the Sukshma Sharira of the Samashti. The Sukshma Sharira of the Samashti is the Sukshma Sharira of, is a sum total, includes each and every one of our Sukshma Sharira. So Swami Pratik Bodhanji Maharaj, the Sukshma Sharira of Swami Pratik Bodhanji Maharaj, which we have been enjoying, the Stula Sharira has no difference in terms of what it is composed of. The Stula Sharira, as we know, is Jada. What we have been enjoying as Swami Pratik Bodhanji Maharaj is his beautiful Sukshma Deha, the loving, caring, whatnot we have been enjoying from him. All that, the loving, caring, the wisdom, everything is a part of Swamiji's Sukshma Sharira. When he looks at you with the caring eyes, of course, the eyes are expressing, but the expression is because of the Sukshma Sharira wanting to care, wanting to speak some nice words. The Sukshma Sharira wanting to lend listening ears, so the ears listen. So that Sukshma Sharira, that matured, complete Sukshma Sharira of Swami Pratik Bodhanji has become a part of every one of our Sukshma Sharira. This is what a Mahatma is known for. This is how a Mahatma, when a Mahatma dies, this is how they remain. This is how they remain. And not only just they remain, this is how they enrich our Sukshma Sharira. This is the great gift. This is a great offering by the Mahatma to the devotees, that their Sukshma Sharira, his Sukshma Sharira enriches all of our Sukshma Sharira. Just like a spark can create a huge fire, likewise Swamiji's Sukshma Sharira has the capacity to create that, to keep that flame of knowledge, to make the flame of knowledge grow, to make us take the right decisions for our spiritual progress. So this I am bound to say. This is the fact. This is a technicality about a Mahatma leaving us. They don't really leave us. I have to say, even though we really dearly miss his physical frame, the hands of Swamiji, the legs of Swamiji, the eyes of Swamiji, all of that I miss, we all miss. So, the gentle walking of Swamiji, the talking, everything will be missed. But let us have Shraddha in how the Mahatma's Sukshma Sharira becomes one with our Sukshma Sharira, and may we all continue this spiritual journey. So with these words, I would like to enter that Gita which Pujya Swamiji started. I feel it is bound. I feel bound that Swamiji, because Swamiji always loved satsang. Even sometimes somebody keeps talking, suddenly he'll ask me some questions, ask me some satsang questions. Whenever the topic deviates into something else, he says, let us think about some shastra. Like that, he is a satsangi. He is a satsang premi also. And Swamiji loved Bhagavatam and Gita. We know that. So that Gita will continue after this 2 weeks of remembrance of Swamiji. We had the Swamiji's Shodashi performed in a very grand way. We had so many sadhus come, and it was a very grand function. Many of you might have even seen the pictures. So, where we were in the Gita is chapter 3. We completed Shloka 16. Shloka 17 is what we'll start today with some prayers. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Puranamunina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamrita Varshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvamanusandadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshini Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutah Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sanga Padakramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginah Yasyantam Na Vidusvara Suraganaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Hunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahe Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This Shloka 17 here is a different section compared to what we have been seeing until Shloka 16. This chapter 3, as we know, is called Karma Yoga. So, Shloka number, whatever the Shloka number, maybe 3 or 4, Nakarmana manarambhat naishkarmyam purusoshnute, like that Shloka onwards, I think the Shloka number, that Shloka onwards. And the first was Arjuna's question, second was Arjuna's question, third was Lokesmin Dvida Nishta, fourth Shloka was this, Nakarmana manarambhat. From the fourth Shloka onwards until the previous Shloka 16, it has been always about doing karma and about what happens if someone does not wish to do karma, although he is an adhikari for karma. It was about how to go about doing karma, yajnarthat karma, as a yajna, as an offering, doing karma. And there was also mention of how when you perform karma as an yajna, this helps in the functioning of the entire creation. That is the ultimate impact of the little karma which we are taking up. So this has been told. And this, what was the shloka? Yevam pravartitam chakram, the chakra of samsara, the wheel of creation, the wheel of samsara, the wheel of creation, etc. Though that wheel keeps going because of the karma we do. So that means karma becomes all the more important, right? Well, if the karma becomes all the more important, is it important for everyone? Does everyone has to do the karma? Is this duty, is everyone bound by this sense of duty and this having to perform duties? Or is it for those who have taken up to karma yoga and who are in the process of preparing themselves for jnana yoga? Is it for those, or is it for those people who are already Jnana-nishta also? I mean, is it for the wise person also, or is it for the person who is a karma yogi? So this question we saw. Here's a sloka. It does the vibhaga. It does the differentiation between wise man and the unwise when it comes to doing karma. Because if the wise man doesn't perform karma, or if anybody who doesn't perform karma, we cannot call them as, they are leading a life of meaninglessness. You cannot say that. And so Bhagavan himself, he might want to answer this question. How about the wise person? It may look like, we are repeating, but we are not repeating here because it's very specific. Just now it has been told that how the karma is important for running this creation. That karma is important. Karma has to be done as an yajna, and it is important for running this wheel of creation, has been told only recently. It has not been told anywhere else in Gita. So when that being the case, how about the wise? That is a question. Then what does Shastra also say? Shastra also says, Etam Atmanam Viditva Nivirtamitya Jnanaha. Shastra also says, for the wise, who has taken up to a life of sannyasa, Yuttaya, he can give up several things. Vittaya, Putreshana, Vitteshana, all this, Vittaya, Lokeshana, all Vittaya means, having given up all these things. So naturally, there's no mandate for him to perform karma. Then, so because of mithya, then what does he pursue? He pursues knowledge. He pursues Shravanadi. He pursues listening to the Shastra. That is what he pursues. So he has something to do, and he gives up everything else for that sake. He can give up everything else for that sake. Because mithya jnana vadbihi. So that mithya jnana has to be replaced by satya jnana. So ajnana should be replaced by jnana, and for that sake he can give up everything and pursue knowledge. And then just for the sake of his own daily affairs, bhikshacharyam, he can take up to bhikshacharyam. He can take up to some going around for some alms for his everyday living, for his food, shelter and clothing. He can, Sharira Yatra, for the Sharira Yatra, he can do this minimum and he can keep going. Tesham Atmajnanishta Vyatirekena Anyat Karyamasti Ityevam Shrutyartam Iha Gita Shastre Pratipaditeshum Avishkurvanaha. So Tesham Atmajnanishta Vyatirekana. So Tesham, we have this Atmajnani Vyatirekena. So this Atmajnani, those who have the Nishta, those who have the steadfastness in knowledge, those who are pursuing this steadfastness in knowledge, and except those, everyone else has to take up to a lifestyle of karma. So except those, everyone has to take up to a lifestyle of karma. This has to be told by Bhagavan, and he is telling that from this sloka onwards, in the next this sloka and the next sloka, 17 and 18 sloka. So we'll see those two slokas now. Sloka is like this: Yastvat maratireva syat, Yastvat maratireva syat, Atmatriptascha manavah, Atmatriptascha manavah, Atmanyevacha santushtah, Atmanyevacha santushtah, Tasya karyam na vidyate, Tasya karyam na vidyate. So karma what is the Anvaya of this shloka? How to rearrange this shloka? Yaha manavaha tu atmaratihi eva syat. Yaha manavaha, those who are those manavaha tu atmaratihi, those who are atmarati, who revel in the self, who revel in the knowledge, in the clear knowledge of the self, atmatriptaha syat, and they are content in the knowledge of the self, content in the self, eva cha santushtaha, and they are happy within the self, within the knowledge of the self. Tasya karyam na vidyate. For them there is no mandate to do this and do that. So there is no mandate for the jnani, for the manavaha, when it comes to be done karma, because they are atmaratihi, they are reveling in the total knowledge of self, atmatriptihi, they are complete in themselves, and they are happy in the self. When I say in the self, I didn't say that they're happy with themselves. There is a being happy with yourself physically also. We're not talking about physically about somebody is very happy about the way he looks and all that. No, happy in the knowledge of the self. So for them, there is nothing to be done. To be done karma is not there. They are free. They are mukta purusha. They are mukta purusha. They are free beings. Avashya kartavya, this has to be done, that is not there for them. Okay. Now what does Shankara Bhashya say about this? So we see that, these people who are after self-knowledge, who have given up everything, we see that Vishaya Sangha Rahityam, we see in them Vishaya Sangha Rahityam. There is a giving up of desire for Vishayas, giving up of the desire to be associated with sense objects. That desire they've given up. So those people, Sankhya, they're called Sankhya, Atma Jnanishtaha, Atmaratihi. What does the word Atmarati in the shloka mean? Those people are Atmaratihi means they are Atmanyeva Ratihi, na Vishayeshu. Atmaratihi, in the self, they revel. In the knowledge of the self, the total knowledge of the self, their revelation, their Sukshma Sharira revels. And not in the sense objects, na Vishayeshu. So you see, Atmarati means one who is not after the pleasures of the senses. Yes, Atmaratihi eva syat bhavet. Then who is the Atma Tripti? Then see, Atmaratihi is there, followed by Atma Triptihi in this shloka. Atma Triptascha Atmanyeva. Atma Triptascha Atmanyeva Triptaha na anya rasa anna rasadina. The Tripti Shabda is there. The Rati Shabda is there, Atmarati, and then Atma Tripti Shabda is there. So Tripti, how do we understand Tripti? Tripti we understand as, Anna Rasadi. Food. Food makes us content. Good food makes us content. Right? So that contentment which we obtain, say, from good food and all that, that is a contentment. Here, whatever it may be, external situation may be, he is content in himself. He doesn't see the lack. A lack of an object doesn't become something he is lacking. It doesn't become like that. It doesn't superimpose that nyunata. It doesn't superimpose that lack of something on himself and subject himself to shoka and moha. That is not there. Subject himself to sorrow. That kind of a discontentment is not there. Atmatriptaha is a content person. Manavaha. Manavaha word is there, right? Manava means Manushyaha. All of us are Manavaha. Manavaha in Tamil also means student. Here Manavaha would mean all those who are Manoho Gotrapatyam. Manu is the first human being, and whoever is connected to him are Manavaha. So every Hindu, Christian, Muslim, they call themselves a human, he is a Manavaha, Manushyaha. Because it's all Manu, 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 human. That Man is from Manu. So here the Manavaha is sannyasi. Those sannyasis who are happy in the knowledge of self, who are content in the knowledge of self. And what about them? There's one more adjective for them. Let us do that first. Atmanyevacha santushtaha. Atmanyevacha santushtaha. Santushtaha. Atmanyeva santushtaha. They are santoshahi bhahyartam. So within themselves they are happy. Within Atmani, in themselves, but I'll say within themselves they are happy. Within themselves they are happy. There's no happiness without. They don't seek out. They don't seek out for happiness. They don't seek out for happiness. Bhahyartha labhe sarvasya bhavati. For others, bhahyartha labhe sarva. For others, the bahya, outside is where the happiness is, and we have to go seek and obtain and all that. But for him, he is atmanyeva santushtaha. Tam anapekshya atmanyeva santushtaha sarvataha vita trishna. That hankering, longing, seeking, vita trishna, it is gone. That is gone. So, should he has to do, then this person, does he has to do something? Kinchit idrisha atmavite tasya karyam karaniyam na vidyate na asti ityartha. It doesn't na vidyate. There is tasya karyam karaniyam na vidyate. There is nothing is mandated on him. There's nothing he has to do, and there's nothing he has to do, and he may be doing something for the sake of happiness, for the sake of happiness of everyone, but there's no mandate on him. So we saw the word rati, atmaratihi, then atmatriptaha, then atma santushtaha, right? Atma santushtaha, atmanyeva santushtaha, santushtaha, atmanyeva cha santushtaha. So this tripti, rati and santosha are all different words for happiness. Moda, pramoda and ananda, all these words, they're all different words for words of happiness, contentment. That's all they are. So when there is no desire to go and seek objects outside, then he is happy with himself, santushtaha. When he is content with himself, we call it is atmatriptaha. When his contentment is not outside but always in the self, in the knowledge of self, we say atmatriptaha. And when the rati, when the reveling is not on the outside objects, the reveling of the mind with all those desires, it's always about the outside. No, for them, it is not reveling outside, it is reveling within the self, in the knowledge of the self. So for that person, there is nothing to be done. So you saw this sloka onwards, this and next sloka, as you see, it is not about doing karma, it is about, for the jnani, there is no karma. For the one who is sannyasi, who is pursuing knowledge, the that is not even mandate. The only thing is expected for himself, for the sake of himself, is to do shravana and understand the knowledge of the self. So this is the shloka which is regarding the jnani. The next shloka is also regarding the jnani. That's where the word kincha is there. Kincha, further. Kincha means further. Atmavidah kincha kartavyam nasti itah cha anatmanah asti. So if Atmavidah, so we also have to think. So for us there is karma to do. For the Anatmavidah, there is karma to be done, right? So it only reiterates for the Anatmavidah about how he has to pursue karma. You have to see the other side of this also. You cannot fake a jnani. The jnani faking won't help. We cannot disown our accountability of having to do. That doesn't work. Anyway, there's a story for that. We'll see it in the end. But here we'll look into the next sloka. Kincha naiva tasya कृतेनार्थः नैव तस्य कृतेनार्थः ना कृतेनेह कश्चन ना कृतेनेह कश्चन न चास्य सर्वभूतेषु न चास्य सर्वभूतेषु कश्चिदर्थव्यपाश्रयः कश्चिदर्थव्यपाश्रयः तस्य इह कृतेन कश्चन अर्थः न एव तस्य for the jnani iha here kritena kaschana artah na eva. For the jnani in terms of action there is nothing to be gained. Nothing to be gained. Akritena na eva kaschana artah. There is nothing lost also by not doing something. Asya sarvabhuteshu arthavyapashrayah kaschidna. And this person, if you think that he is anyway, everybody is a dependent being. They have to depend on everyone else. So maybe he has got something to do for the sake of others. Maybe he has a mandate to work for the others who are all helping in his sustenance and all that. It is also not there. Asya sarvabhutesha arthavyapashrayah kaschidana. That is also not there. So this sloka is again only confirming for a jnani there is nothing to be gained by doing something, nothing is lost by not doing something, and nothing he needs to do in terms of having to support other beings. That is also not there. That papa also does not affect him if he's not, if you see him not performing those actions. See, that is you see in the last sloka. So let us see what is the Bhashya saying here. Naiva tasya paramatma ratehe kritena karmana artah prayojanamasti. There is no prayojana. Artah in this sloka means there is no prayojana for him. Prayojana, you understand the word prayojana? Prayojana, there is no seeking, there is nothing he gains. Then why would he do? He would do for the sake of sharing his happiness. He is a very prasanna, he is a very calm person. He is a very cheerful person. This cheerful person, let me tell you a story. He goes to the bazaar to buy a gift. He doesn't have to. He goes. Someone asked him, why do you want to buy this? This is for yourself? No, I want to give a gift to someone. Why would you want to come all the way and buy it? You can order online. You can send it to him. And that person said, I want to do it myself. This is because it's going to my friend. And the friend would be happy to see that I put that extra effort to get it for him. I searched for this and got it for him. That will make him happy. So this prasannata, the calmness, the prasannata, the cheerfulness, he wants it to become the cheerfulness for someone else. So this way, he may do something, but that doesn't mean he is gaining something out of it. Asya tarhi akritena akaranena pratyavayakyah anartah. So when you don't do something which has to be done, then it is called pratyavaya dosha. How about a jnani? Would there be a dosha of not performing something? For us it would be a dosha. For the ajnani there will be a dosha. because at that given point, in that given place, whatever is the best to be done, that has to be done. If we don't do that, what happens is there is a dosha called pratyavaya. Why we call it by a special name pratyavaya? Because by not doing a karma, technically you should not acquire any papa. Papa should not stick to you. Papa sticks to you when you do a wrong karma. You see, something has to be done wrong. The judge cannot punish somebody for just thinking about harming someone. It has to translate into action, then only he can punish him. Likewise, papa has to be in terms of some papa from action, wrong action. That is papa. So just not doing would not acquire any papa. So not doing has to be, not doing what needs to be done is still considered a dosha. It is not a papa but dosha, and that is called pratyavaya dosha. So what is this? So how have I explained myself? Now I should continue. So this dosha is pratyavaya dosha because if you don't do what is the best to be done in the given situation, then what happens is that much your progress is retarded. So pratyava means you're pushing yourself down. So satsang is the best thing to do in a given time, and if we don't spend time in satsang, but we spend time in a party or something, which we also feel is required and all that. That's why we are there and not here. Naturally, we miss whatever we could gain in the satsanga. Naturally, it will be so much delay in the progress of our spiritual progress. So this kind of dosha is there when you don't perform an action. So that dosha is also not there for the jnani. Akritena iha loke kaschana kaschidapi pratyavaya prapti rupa atmahani lakshana va na eva asti. Nacha asya sarvabhuteshu brahmadi stavaranteshu bhuteshu kaschid arthavyapashrayah prayodana nimitta kriya sadhyah vyapashrayanam. Arthavyapashrayah. So he has to do something to be able to transact with everybody and be have a symbiotic relationship with anybody in terms of sustenance and all that, in terms of sustaining himself and all that. Doesn't matter. Even those kinds of binding is not there. Nimitta kriya sadhya vyapashraya. Kriya sadhya. We are always after kriya or sadhya. Do something, gain something. Do something, gain something. He is not bound by that even for the sake of someone else. That is what? Stavara from someone else. That someone else is here told us Brahmadi stavaranteshu. From Brahma onwards until a blade of grass, he is not bound to have to do something. Brahma means it includes all the devatas. Say grass means it includes all the prani, all the beings. Kaschid bhuta visheshamashritya na sadhyah kaschid arthah asti yena tad artha kriya anushtheya syat. So that is what is reiterating that this person is free. He is free from the mandate of having to perform anything. Now, how about Arjuna? Maya Arjunasya api. Can Arjuna also do the same? No. Natvam etasmin sarvatah sampludodaka sthaniye samyak darshane vartase. For you right now it is not the time. You have to have that darshana, you have to have the vision of the jnani. Then maybe you can take up to a life of sannyasa. At this point here, Arjuna, you have to do what is needed to be done. So this is again Arjuna coming back to Arjuna. Arjuna has to perform what needs to be done. And the next sloka is again Tasmat. The next sloka, if you see how it starts, it says Tasmat asaktas satatam karyam karma samachara. Hey Arjuna, karyam karma samachara. You perform action. You perform action to the best possible extent. That's what in the next sloka again it comes back to Arjuna about doing karma. So this is how it is. So we cannot skip this accountability of having to perform actions. There was this beautiful story by Swami Akhandanji while he was dealing with these slokas. So there was this Seth. Seth means a wealthy person. He had a great garden, and in the garden he was very attached to his garden. And in the garden he sees there was a cow grazing. He got wild. He wanted to chase the cow. He took a stick. He bet the cow, and it hit the cow in the wrong place, maybe in the skull or somewhere. The cow died. Once the cow died, then it becomes a Brahmahatya dosha. The cow dies. The cow has all the devatas in the body. The cow has all the devatas in its sharira, the body. So killing a cow, physically killing a cow, is a big one of the biggest papa, biggest mistake. So sin, biggest sin. So then it has to, this Brahmahatya, the sin comes in a physical form and says, I'm going to attach to you. You are going to be destroyed. I'm going to associate myself with you. I'm going to catch you. This person says, I didn't hit. He had this, he didn't want to get that. He didn't want to be caught by the Brahmahatya dosha, by that papa. So he said to the papa, the physical form, he said, I didn't hit my stick. This was the one who killed the cow. Then the Brahmahatya, that dosha, goes to the stick and asks, I'm going to catch you. The stick says, it was not me, it was the hands. It was the hand which did that, hand of the Seth, the hand of the wealthy man. Goes to the hand, the papa goes to the hand. Hand says, the devata, my devata is Indra. Indra is my devata. Ayam me asto Bhagavan, ayam me Bhagavat Taraha. That Bhagavan for the hasta is Indra. Pakhvor Indras Tishtatu. So that Indra is the one who is operating, who is the one who has to be behind the hands to function. So Indra is the one who needs to be, answer the Brahmahatya dosha. So that dosha, that papa goes to Indra. Indra says, Bhagavan Narayana, Sri Mahavishnu, he is the one who has given me this duty to perform. So he is only responsible. He is the one who makes me perform this duty. So he is the one who is responsible. So when Brahmahatya goes to Bhagavan Vishnu smiles and says, come, let's go back to the Brahmana. Let's go back to the Seth, to the wealthy man who owns the garden. So Bhagavan Vishnu went as a Brahmana, he went to the Seth. And he went to the Brahmana as a Seth. He went to the Seth as a Brahmana. And then Brahmahatya, the dosha also with him, hidden with him. And he asks the Seth, hey Seth, hey wealthy man, this garden looks so beautiful. Who did it? This wealthy man said, I did it. This is my garden. I brought these plants from the south of India. I bought these plants, these trees from the west, these from the north, these apple trees from the north. So he's giving all the descriptions, said how he very meticulously created this garden, how much effort he has put for this garden, all that. Then there was one well there. He said, who dug the well? Oh, that well was also dug by me. I thought some people can fetch water from the well for their living. So that was also done by me. So everything he said was done by him. Then Bhagavan Sri Vishnu says, he sees the cow, the dead cow, and says, how about this cow? What happened to this cow? Oh, that is dead. Who killed this cow? Then Seth says, not me, I didn't kill this cow. Then Bhagavan says, you created this garden, you created everything out of your hands, and you also use that same hands to hit this cow with a stick, and hence this papa of this killing the cow also goes to you only. So likewise he makes the Brahmahatya go back to the Seth. So here what the story is, the purpose of the story is, we cannot fake jnani, we cannot feign innocence when we are supposed to do something, or after doing something and then trying to wash our hands off and say this I didn't do, like that. So karma, the science of karma has to be very clear. We are all bound by our duties. Jnani is free from his duties, free from such duties. And once we are bound, we have to take it up responsibly and perform it. And at any point we cannot relinquish it. At any point we cannot think we can wash it off, like this Seth was trying to do. So Jnani is the one who knows very clearly. The Bhagavan, the Devata for the hands is Indra. And suppose if he is making a piece of roti, say Jnani makes a piece of roti for us, like Swami Pratikbodhanji used to make. He makes sometimes dosa. He gives. I try to go before and not make him do so I can feed him, but sometimes he is already making one and says, Surya, please have it. So the Mahatma does something, say a dosa or a roti, and that roti, if you see who makes the roti, if you ask the Mahatma, is very clear. Agni Bhagavan and all those people peasants who make sure that there was atta available in the form of wheat, those peasants, Agni Bhagavan, and who else? And Surya Bhagavan, who made the wheat grow, and then the Devata for the hands, Indra. So they are all the Devatas, they are all making this possible. So you see, even when they are doing, for a Jnani, it is this is Jnana, the clarity of who is really doing behind. That is the knowledge. The Jnani has that knowledge. The wise man has that knowledge. So even when he performs, he knows very clearly it is possible, it's made possible because of several other Devatas and whatnot factors. So with that attitude, he performs. And he doesn't have to even perform. He's free from having to perform, but he still performs if there is a need. So these two shlokas are talking about that Jnani. And we'll come back to Arjuna in the next shloka when we come back next week. Hopefully with Swamiji's blessing, we'll continue this for until we finish all the 18 chapters. And this recording, I'm giving it from Coimbatore, and I'm here for a few weeks. I hope I can come back and do live classes, but in the meantime, I would like all of you to make the best use of your time by attending these classes and be very supportive, so that way I know that this effort has been reached to all of you. Thank you, and we'll continue. We'll see you next week. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.